I filmed every video in this chair. I'm going to film every video in this chair from now on. This is a good chair. Yo, what is up guys? I know it's been ages since I last did a shoe review, but I can confidently say that I haven't ever been as excited to do a shoe review as I am for this one. Now of course that's with no disrespect to all the other shoes that I've done before, but the time has finally come, as today I'm going to be taking a look at the first ever shoes designed specifically for freestyle. So introducing the 4Freestyle Explore Freestyle shoes. Oh my god. So we've been waiting a long time for these, but they are finally here, the 4Freestyle Explore shoes. I'll rewind a little bit back to Super Bowl this year, where the 4Freestyle shoes got announced. They got their first little bit of spotlight, quite literally, and the presentation for them I thought was really good. Although there may have been parts of the presentation that I wasn't really fussed about, I wasn't won over, I think it was always inevitable that it's hard not to get a little bit excited about a product that the shoe is designed specifically for freestyling. But before I get into this review, I just want to establish that I wasn't one of the freestylers who got these shoes for free. I'm not being paid or anything to like say anything. So once again, I bought these shoes out of my own money, and what you guys can expect is 100% raw, total honesty. Not going to hold back on my opinions, just the honest truth. So let's get into the review then. Once again, I'm going to start off by having a look at the aesthetics and the design of the shoe. Now in summary, I am a huge fan of how the shoe looks. Just like the product's creator, Tobias, bloody gorgeous. At a distance, they look kind of white, but then up close and when you have them in your hand, they actually look a little bit more like they've got kind of an ice blue sort of tint to them. It's quite nice. With the shoe in your hand, they definitely feel and look up close a lot like Puma Archive Lights. Given the unprecedented popularity of Puma Archive Lights, that's not a bad thing to base your design off at all. The shoe has a very thin shoe tongue. It has, of course, the gold 4Freestyle logo on the side, which I think looks really good. And generally, I like the simplicity of the look. It's not super flashy or anything. It hasn't got like a really complex design to it that like deters from it. It's just got a really sleek finish. One peculiar thing to me about the shoe's design is at the back, the heel counter. Got nothing against it whatsoever, it just kind of caught my eye, it looked a bit different. And that's the fact that the shape of it, it kind of like, if you can see here, it kind of leans in towards the back of your foot where your Achilles is. Again, it's got an imprint of the 4Freestyle logo, and this part is made up of some kind of synthetic leather on the back, but the heel counter part inside the shoe has a lot of cushioning and padding, very soft. Now materials wise, the shoe is predominantly made up of mesh, although I should say mesh is not a material, mesh is a pattern, and these shoes have a double layer of mesh which you can find almost entirely all around the upper of the shoe as well as on the shoe tongue. The mesh material is very advantageous in that it's very soft, comfortable and a breathable material for a shoe. And then if we divert our attention to what's on the bottom of the shoe, we have one big EVA sole. EVA stands for, I believe, ethylene vinyl acetate. Wasn't reading it off something behind the camera, I promise you. The EVA essentially, it very much just feels like a soft rubber, and it's used in lots of products, mainly as a kind of like shock absorber. Boxing pads, shoes, all those kind of things. And then the pattern on the sole, I'm not such a big fan of it, but it's just plain zigzag herringbone, which is designed to basically not wear away and have a good amount of traction. And then finally, in terms of weight, for my little size 8 feet, the shoes weighed in at a staggering 145 grams. So if I'm not mistaken, that makes the 4Freestyle shoes the lightest pair of freestyle shoes I've ever owned. Okay, so now that I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to in terms of the design, I'm gonna take these little beauties, go and use them, and then come back and then we'll talk about the performance.
Eventually.
Okay, Right, where do I start then? So unsurprisingly, one of the first things that I did notice when putting these shoes on for the first time is how comfortable they are. I can't stress how comfortable a shoe these are for freestyle, and just generally even walking about, they are very, very comfortable. So when training indoor in the studio, one of the things that was immediately evident to me was that these shoes were not as grippy on the bottom as my previous pair of shoes that I was using and other freestyle shoes that I've used in the past. The shoe doesn't have any ridges, lumps, extradites, whatever word you want to use to describe it. But the difference in traction on the shoes was definitely noticeable to me. To help illustrate my point, I have here my Puma Glide Light Leather MBK, and on the bottom of these, from day one, they do have, you know, lots of bumps and ridges, and it's also broken up into different segments as well. And all of this, I think, helped to create significantly a lot more grip and traction with the floor. So I'll start with the big one that is lowers, and you do have an unbelievable amount of kind of freedom and mobility of movement in these shoes because they are so light and they're not clunky like in the slightest. Generally, the touch is oh so similar to Puma Archive Light Low Mesh. And for some people you may love that, for other people you might find that really frustrating, even though they do have their own kind of benefits. Now lowers is obviously a really, really important aspect of freestyle to me, and I want to have a shoe that can do everything that I want to in lowers. Little tedious things that really kind of were leaving me a little bit disappointed. But for all my efforts, the thing that I just seemed to not be able to avoid was in combos to retain them. I ended up doing so many hop the worlds just to keep the combo going. And it's a real shame, to be honest, because I've kind of only just gotten to that stage where my half around the worlds and my like weak foot around the world and things like that are at a better level now where I'm confident to put those things into combos. But in these shoes, it didn't feel like that was the case, and it felt like my instinct was always just telling me another hop the world, another hop the world. Just to be able to retain the combo. And then when it came to some of the more advanced tricks, alternative tricks, not so much a problem, but Magellan's probably the best example I can think of for this actually. The responsiveness of the shoes, it was a little bit hit and miss. For example, it was a real struggle for me to be able to put things like Magellan and tricks that had a really big kind of power and lift required to them. It was really difficult for me to execute them in the way in which I wanted to. However though, obviously it goes without saying that it's not just the shoes, remember, it's the ball as well, with the combination of 4Freestyle shoe and Finale 7. Because maybe with other match balls, this isn't a problem at all, I don't know, but just my experience. I definitely do rate these shoes for no touches though. A shoe that's lightweight and the pop-up that you get on them is still pretty good. And also, something that I care about a lot in no touches is how do the shoes feel in terms of like the landing. Ooh, sorry mate. And as I said before, they're not clunky or anything, they're very nimble. So yeah, they're good for no touches in my opinion. I really enjoy training sits in these shoes. I can't believe I'm saying that. But these shoes I really do rate for sits. I firmly do prefer now this kind of shoe for sits, like soft, cushiony, kind of typically like the Puma shoes, as opposed to the kind of indoor futsal shoe. I just feel like the touches are a little bit more, they're a little bit more delicate, and they're a little bit more easy to work with when you're trying to like do very precise combos and stuff. I think this kind of helps a lot more for me. I don't really think I have any footage of me doing or training sole variations in these shoes, but I can assure you sole variations in these shoes are very much doable. I did have my concerns at first, given how like the sole isn't as flexible as on other Puma shoes where you can manipulate the shape quite easy, but yeah, no problem at all with sole variations on the shoe, whether it be lying down, standing up, whatever your mind can conjure up, they're doable. One thing I didn't like these shoes for at all though was blocks. Now even though they do feel incredibly similar to the Puma Archive Light Low Mesh, given how thin and soft the material is, you can push your feet up against the ball more, that's all rosy. But when it comes to other aspects of blocks and slaps, when you're using kind of like the inside or the outside of the shoe, that is when it tended to slip away quite a lot. Blocks were a struggle. Blocks were a struggle in these shoes actually. Or I definitely felt like you couldn't go full speed on them. And then just a quick note on all your kind of piddle stuff. toe bounces, pancakes, clippers, heel bounces. Yeah, the shoes are all good. They are definitely more than capable of doing all of them. Overall, very, very capable all-round shoe. However, though, one thing that is pretty cool is that the shoes do indeed come with the laces with grip. For me, the laces with grip do actually help a little bit. And with the lowers, my basics felt more comfortable. The bigger tricks as well were a little bit, let's say the margin of error was smaller for like the more advanced tricks. It was only after about 7 sessions that I actually said, oh yeah, they've got the grippy laces, why aren't I using these? If you do get yourself the shoes, I would recommend going with the grippy laces from the start, definitely. Okay, so now a quick note on the durability of the shoe, because I know that that's quite a concerning thing for a lot of people. And after about 2 weeks use, it's a shame that it only took literally one outdoor session. Everything that's nice about its appearance is kind of gone like in an instant, but I suppose that is the price you pay for white freestyle shoes. So after all the time that I've been using them, there is currently no signs whatsoever of holes beginning to develop on the upper, on the mesh. I haven't used them for long enough, so that's something to keep an eye on. But generally at this stage, I don't think we can slate the durability of this shoe at all. They are definitely better than the Keto 6. Okay, so overall to conclude, what do I think about the first ever shoe designed for freestyle and how does it fare? Well, it's by no means perfect. But let's be fair, I don't think we were going to be onto a winning formula like first try. At the end of the day, everyone is just going to have a different opinion on what makes a perfect freestyle shoe for them, if such a thing exists. But for me personally, I can confidently say that I'm not going to be using these shoes again for freestyle. I attribute this mainly to a lack of grip on the bottom. It was a little bit concerning for me in terms of the number and the different types of surfaces that you can actually use the shoe on effectively. Could become problematic, and instead you end up being the next viral blooper. But also the main thing is just the lowers. It wasn't quite there. For me it's difficult because it's almost like I prefer like bipolar opposites of each other for sits and lowers. So for sits, I like a really soft, delicate touch, but then for lowers, I don't really like that soft, cushiony touch anymore. I suppose for me, the most simple way of putting it is, if you get on well with Puma Archive Light low mesh, shoes up. You will love these shoes. I think these shoes are slightly better than the Puma Archive Light low mesh in certain ways. Obviously, if you buy the shoe, it is amazing to support the 4Freestyle brand, because obviously it's made by freestylers, for freestylers, help keep the cycle going. Also, if you are a beginner freestyler, I think this is probably the most perfect all-round beginner shoe out there. I genuinely do think that. However, if there are, aspects that are really, really important to you and key to what kind of freestyle you do, then you might want to be a bit more careful, and in which case for me personally it's probably going to be the shoes down. I did have a lot of fun trying these out though, and fair play, we finally got a product out there. So yeah, if you want to get yourself a pair of these, I'll leave a link to the 4Freestyle store in the description below, and also a note on the sizing is that they are true to size, which is a lot more handy than having to like experiment with all of Puma's crazy sizing. So for example, my feet are a UK size 8, so these shoes are also a UK size 8. So yeah, they're true to size. So yeah, thanks for watching guys. If you enjoyed this one, then give it a like, comment and subscribe if you're new. Let me know what shoes you want me to do shoe reviews for in future. I've still got a lot in my cupboard actually that I said I was going to do reviews on. And obviously anyone else out there who has themselves a pair of 4Freestyle shoes, let me know what you thought about them as well. If your experience was good, bad, would you recommend them? If you agree or disagree with whatever I said, etc, etc, etc. That's pretty much all from me, so thank you, God bless, happy days.